Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. I'm back here at the Blue Heat, the Kentucky Bluegrass, where I've got planted right here in my home in North Carolina. I've been getting a ton of questions and emails about will it work here, will it work there, where will it work? Now a lot of you already know the answer to that question. You probably know what I'm going to say, but I want to put it all in one little video, give you my 2 cents on it, and answer a lot of questions at one time. Now yes, it can be cut short, okay? That right there's cut at 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna keep it at 1/2 inch all year long here at my house and see how it can handle the heat that low. Remember last year, best of my knowledge, I think we kept it around 1.5 inches or 2 inches last year. It done just fine. Kentucky Bluegrass is a cool season turf. It's going to thrive in the cooler part of the year and in cooler climates, okay? Mountainous type climates it's going to do well. Pretty much anywhere north of the transition zone, it should do pretty well. The further north you go, probably the better it's going to do. Just like fescue, it's a cool season turf, but it requires considerably more water when it's grown in a climate that's warmer, like here in North Carolina. Our summers we can get anywhere from low to mid 90s, even hit that 100-degree mark. Super humid. I think we get a little more humid than people give us credit for. Obviously we don't get like you guys in Texas or Florida, but we do get very, very muggy, and this bluegrass don't like that. This bluegrass also don't like that high temperature, that high heat, 90, 95, 100. When you get above 85 degrees as a average in the summer, you can expect it to struggle a little bit unless you tell it otherwise. Like I did all of last year. You saw the videos. I showed you that you can have Kentucky bluegrass in a warmer climate that's similar to the climate of North Carolina. But again, I watered aggressively. Okay, you're going to hear me say that in this video probably 10 times. Now if you go to the product page on the website, you'll see all the varieties listed out, some of the characteristics of each. A lot of those are heat tolerant varieties, and they're not heat resistant, heat tolerant, meaning they can tolerate a certain amount of heat. Resistant and tolerant is 2 different words, 2 different definitions. As far as seeding it goes, I start very early in the seeding. I think I seeded this back in August of last year, because Kentucky bluegrass seed takes longer to germinate than say a fescue. Once it comes up, it takes it a while to kind of come up and get going good. Matter of fact, when I renovated this area a couple of years ago, I thought it was never going to come up, especially this section right over here in the corner. For some reason, it was super slow to come in, but with time and patience, it got there. Talking about seeding, can I mix it in with a fescue yard? I'm getting a lot of questions about that. Well, that's your choice, okay? You get to decide whether you can. My answer to that is yeah, you can, because I did it in my yard. Now how I made that work was I did take my fescue down a little lower than I normally do. I typically cut it around 3 inches right before I aerate and seed. But the year I put the bluegrass in my fescue and mixed it together with the fescue yard, best of my knowledge, I think I took it down to about 2.5. The reason I did that is because it takes that bluegrass longer to germinate than the fescue, okay? So I needed more time for the bluegrass to germinate before I had to go back to mowing the yard. Now, did I water my yard any more simply because I added bluegrass to it? Maybe a little bit, but not nearly as aggressive as I watered this bluegrass only back here. And something else I've noticed about bluegrass is it takes it longer to green up and get that lush, rich green color. It doesn't happen instantly, kind of like fescue. When fescue comes out of the ground, pretty much what you see is what you get as far as color goes. From when I started mowing this back here this year, the Blue Heat, it has probably changed about 3 or 4 different times in color. It just keeps getting darker and darker and darker. A good buddy of mine, Chris, up in the mountains of North Carolina, told me that year number 2 for bluegrass, it's typically the bang bang year. That's when it really starts showing off, so you can keep that in mind as well. So how far south can you go with bluegrass? Well, that's a trick question. Like I said earlier, the prime locations are going to be in mountainous type climates where it's nowhere near as humid and the weather's a little cooler during the summer. Northern states is going to do well. I do have it in Louisiana. I think it's Louisiana. I think that's where he lives at. And I'll throw a picture of it right here up on the screen. You can see it. The strip out at the road, that is the blue heat. The one up in the yard is a different variety of bluegrass that's not associated with the blue heat. And as of right now in May 2020, it's doing great. We've got to watch it for a while and see how it's going to do during the summertime. And of course, if it'll survive a Louisiana summer, that's saying something. So how much fertilizer does bluegrass need? Well, in my opinion, I've found that it likes little doses more frequent than heavy doses. Okay, I did that all of last year and got great results doing it. This year, I'm going to flip-flop that. And I'm going to do heavy doses of fertilizer and spread them out further apart from each other. And the reason I'm doing that is to test it. I'm not going to know what I can tell you unless I do the test myself, see the results with my eyes so I can figure it out and say, hey, this works, this don't work, this does, and this don't. You know what I'm saying? Again, bluegrass likes a lot of water. I didn't take very good notes last year because I was busy. But to the best of my knowledge, I ran this irrigation back here about 30 to 40 minutes every other day. And then every day I cooled it down with a 5 or 6 or 7 minute syringing water, mid-afternoon, kind of toward the evening to cool it down some after a hot day. Now you have to keep in mind, I have an exceptional well, lots of water, all the water I can handle. And this area back here has 2 irrigation heads on it, and that's it. And those irrigation heads have a number 4.5 nozzle in them. So when these irrigation heads come on back here, they are pumping water. I mean pumping it like a fire hydrant. So you can't take my irrigation setup back here and relate it to your yard, because I don't think you're going to have 4.5 nozzles in each one of your heads. If you do, you've got one heck of an irrigation system. That's pretty cool having it right beside that fescue. That fescue's at 4.5 inches, and that bluegrass right there is at 1/2 inch. Now I'm in a great location to test out disease control, because you know when it gets hot and humid and muggy, that brown patch and gray leaf spot and things like that start working their way in turf. Well, I've noticed that I use less fungicides on Kentucky bluegrass than my fescue. Don't ask me why, because I honestly don't have a clue. But last year I did stretch out my fungicide applications much further apart just to see how far I could push it. And I had 0 issues with disease in the bluegrass. Now, beginning of the year this year, this was looking much better than it is now. It's kind of recovering. I kind of had that same problem here as I did with my yard, where I was a little aggressive raking it. I raked the crap out of it, and I just think I overdid it. And I probably had some self-induced stress. I mean, I induced the stress on the bluegrass, so it's in its recovery stage right now. And over the past couple of weeks, prior to this video, it's really taken a turn for the better, and it's on the way back. Now you can see this one strip right here, this strip of grass right here, it was really tall. I got way behind on my mowing, and I mean it was like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches tall back here. I think that's where I applied the fertilizer a little lopsided. And this one strip kind of down the middle got much taller than the rest of it. Well, of course, you've done that before. You cut real tall grass and it yellows it out. And it takes it a good 2, 3, 4 weeks to recover and heal back up. And that's why that one little strip right there is looking as bad as it does right now. So right now, I'm going to give it a real good heavy shot of Higher Bricks fertilizer. This is the pasture. I just fertilized my fescue out here. You can see that fescue's rocking and rolling right now. Like I said earlier, I spoon fed the bluegrass all of last year. This year, I'm gonna flip-flop, go totally completely opposite, and throw the hammer down. All right, so there you go. That's kind of a good general basic overview of blue heat, what you can expect, where you might can grow it, that kind of thing. I forgot to mention, I think one of the biggest advantages of Kentucky bluegrass is that it has the ability to spread. Spread similar to Bermuda, not quite as aggressive though. So it can kind of creep and fill in some bare spots along the way. Now to recap everything, we talked about where is the ideal location for it. We also talked about how I grew it back here in a hot North Carolina summer. So now you have to make the decision if you want to put the extra effort and the extra water and the extra money to spend on the water, on the bluegrass to keep it going in a hot climate. Talked about mowing height, 3 inches, I would consider that pretty tall for bluegrass. All the way down to a ½ inch is what I've got this cut at. And obviously the lower you cut it, the more watering you're gonna have to do, because the ground's gonna dry out much quicker because there's not as much canopy shading out the dirt. So we talked about disease control, right? And I don't have any scientific data, numbers, or research to show you. I'm just going by what I saw and the amount of fungicide I applied versus the amount of fungicide and the frequency I apply to fescue. Now I've been applying fungicides to fescue for a very long time, so I'm very well educated on that. But the bluegrass was new, so I had to test it, and I did find that you can stretch those fungicide applications out quite a bit versus the frequency you apply it to fescue. And we talked about watering it, right? And we're talking about it again. I want to be overly and anally clear that if you were to buy this in a southern location, southern part of the country, or even where I live, transition zone, and you want bluegrass, you want a yard, you want bluegrass to look like that, I'm telling you now, up front, you're going to have to be very aggressive watering, okay? I think something I left out is bluegrass prefers full sun. This particular mix right here I've got is not going to do very well in the shade. And I think we talked about mixing it in with fescue. I was successful in my yard in doing that. You can as well, as long as you kind of go about it the right way. Cut that fescue down a little bit shorter. Again, I didn't water too much more than I normally do on my fescue, but I did water a little bit more. And of course I cut that grass at 4½ inches last year, so the bluegrass would kind of get up with the fescue, and it mowed just fine. No real issues there. I did notice that it darkened the yard up, meaning from a distance my fescue yard had an overall darker appearance because it had that little bit of bluegrass mixed in. Hey, like and subscribe and share and tell all your buddies. Keep track right here with the bluegrass. Last year we did light and frequent feedings, spoon feedings. This year we're doing less feedings during the year, and when we feed it, we're going to feed it heavy and hard. The reason I'm doing that again is just so I can see the contrast between last year and this year. That's all. And once I get that granular fertilizer applied, I'm absolutely going to water it in, simply because I have an irrigation system back here that I can basically turn it on and let it do its thing. Now, something else I applied was a liquid product, and I've been testing this product since early in the year. I've tested it out there at the office grass. I made a few applications back here on the bluegrass. It's had several applications on my yard. I've even put it on the test plot back here. I'm basically doing a bunch of testing to kind of get a general feel of the product to see how the turf is going to react. My wife had a really good idea when we finish up the office renovation. That's kind of where our headquarters, or whatever you want to call it, is. We're going to kind of do somewhat of a ribbon cutting ceremony, and I'm going to film it, show it all to you. And I'll tell you a little bit about GCI Turf Solutions and what that division of GCI Turf does and what it represents and its main priority and main goal as a business, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we get there. So hey, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to watch this video. Like, subscribe, and share, and tell all your buddies, and you can follow me, and we'll show fescue work. We got Bermuda grass seed, the heat wave going in at the office, that's going to be all Bermuda, fescue here at the house, and then obviously we got Kentucky bluegrass back here. Yeah, I know a lot of you are going to hate to see it go, but my test plot back here is going to be 100% blue heat this coming fall. We're going to renovate this entire section. We're going to add irrigation. We're going to fill in the ditch out there. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. We're going to build a retaining wall around that light post. We're going to continue my gutter drains in the ditch. You didn't realize it, but my gutter drains coming off my home up there go underground in the ditch and feed out right there. So we've got to connect all that up to send that water down this way to this cross line down here so it can exit to the woods. So man, we've got a lot to do out here this fall, so hang around, and that's going to be really cool. So hey, again, I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a blessed day, and I'll check you later.